Manchester United needs some new players. How's that for an intro? Insightful, eh? But it is the truth. It's what we need to do. Manchester United are desperate for new players in 2025, but also actually in January. The problem is, it's incredibly difficult to do business at this time of year. We know that United are financially restricted right now, but also teams don't really want to sell their best players. However, I do think there are a few market opportunities out there right now for United. Now, I think it's unlikely that we see more than one player come into the club, but there are three different players that I think we should at least take a look at this month. So, let's take a look. So the first name that I want to throw into the hat is that of a left wing back. It is, of course, Nuno Mendes. Now, I am aware that we have spoken about him recently, but I think there is an opportunity there to get one of the best young fullbacks in the world. And the reason this opportunity is there is because he does only have 18 months left on his contract, and apparently he doesn't want to extend. That means that PSG will want to sell him fairly soon, certainly in the next 6 months, because I don't want to run the risk of losing him for cheap next year. I think Nuno Mendes might be gettable this January. He wouldn't be cheap, but I think he is gettable. In terms of what he would bring to the squad, to an extent, you guys already know. We covered it in a video the other day, but I do think he is an option that Manchester United should pursue. His physicality, his physical base is a big thing that Manchester United are lacking in the team. And what I mean by that is he's a player that, particularly on the ball, wins most of his duels. When the opposition go man to man or are looking to isolate him, he wins those situations, he dominates those situations. And if you go through this Manchester United squad, how many players can you really say that for? How many players excel when they're 1v1? Not many, but Nuno Mendes does. He's an extremely powerful athlete, very athletic young man, able to get up and down the pitch with a lot of speed. I think he's exactly what United needs. In terms of if we're looking a bit further than just actually his physical base, something else that is very important is that left foot of his. Now, you guys might be tired of me talking about the left foot dynamic, but it is crucial, so I'm going to keep talking about it. United need a left-footed player on the left-hand side of the attack. If there is any hope of having any balance in the Manchester United structure, we need that left-footed player. And the reason we're so desperate for it is because it improves us in the first phase. It allows us to play out from the back easier. Having that left-footed dynamic down the left-hand side, it opens up the pitch. It lets us progress the ball down this side. But also, when we get into more attacking positions in the final third, it's a player that traditionally and naturally wants to hold the width. Nuno Mendes isn't a fullback who wants to invert into these areas all the time. He wants to fly forward down the outside. And again, that's exactly what Manchester United need. Someone who, when they get the ball into these positions, doesn't want to check backwards. Currently, when we play someone like Dalot, naturally he's right-footed, so when he gets the ball in this area, he wants to cut back and then deliver. Nuno Mendes doesn't have that problem. He wants to go down the outside, he wants to take players on, he wants to sort of draw the opposition towards him, take a big touch, almost pushing or sort of shoving the touch forward past the opposition, getting into these positions, and then he's going to deliver. And his attacking returns in the past year or so have actually been pretty good. His numbers are quite impressive. I think from that point of view, he is what United need in this wing-back position. The other thing, though, that I like about Nuno Mendes is the potential for tactical versatility. You see, he can actually also play on the left side of a back three. And this is actually another position where currently we are a little bit weak, not just in terms of actual quality, but depth as well. We do lack left-footed options in the defence. Nuno Mendes is a player that if we needed him to, could play there. And that's why I like the idea of this signing. We could sign him as a left wing back, and I think he would be very good there. But let's say it doesn't work, we can still try him as a left-sided centre-back. He can play in a back four as a left-back as well, which I think is important. It doesn't restrict us in the future. I just think Nuno Mendes is a player that, I'm not going to say we must sign, but I think we must at least look into it. Now, the next player that we are going to look at is actually another left wing-back, which sort of highlights the fact that I think this is a really important position for Manchester United. And again, it is a player that we've spoken about recently. It's Kerkez of Bournemouth. And the reason why I think this is such an attractive signing is because the settle time is reduced when you sign from the Premier League. Manchester United, at their best, under Sir Alex Ferguson, would go and sign the best players from the lower teams in the Premier League, knowing that they don't need to adapt to a new league, they already understand the intensity and things like that. It's much easier for them to settle into a new team. If you look in the past 3, 4, 5 seasons, or you look at the current Manchester United 11 we've got on screen here, how many of these players were actually signed from the Premier League? It's just Harry Maguire. Manchester United need to try and get back, where possible, to signing from within the league players that are quickly going to adapt, particularly in January. Now, I'm not sure Kerkez is an opportunity like the other two players are, perhaps, but I do think turning down Manchester United is difficult. I'm aware Bournemouth are a better team than us right now, they're in a better position, but turning down a club the size of Manchester United, with almost a guaranteed wage increase, would be difficult for Kerkez to do. And in terms of what he's going to bring on the pitch, again, it's a lot of tenacity, it's intensity. He's perhaps not as physical as Nuno Mendes naturally, but his mindset, his mentality makes up for a lot of that. A bit like Lisandro Martinez when he first came into the club, but before he got that injury, which sort of ruined him. He wasn't the biggest, but his mentality, his approach to duels, to battles, really allowed him to make up for that. And Kerkez is actually really strong with his upper body strength. He's got quite broad shoulders. He's filled up that upper frame, and it makes him a really physical player and a difficult player to get past, but also to knock off the ball as well. I think when people look at Kerkez, they see defensively a very strong fullback. He's good in his 1-versus-1 situations, but I think he's become a little bit underrated on the ball. He is a strong ball carrier. Not a dribbler, I wouldn't say, but a ball carrier. And I think that's what United need. Someone who can attack the open space. And importantly, like I said in my video the other week, he's also a passer as well. He can move the ball inside. He's not selfish. He makes the right decision. He knows when to release the ball. And I think these are all things that United need in the team. The other thing, though, that I really like about Kerkez is similar to what we were saying about Nuno Mendes as well. And that is the fact that if needed, I've just realised Mazraoui's got the wrong number there. But if needed, Kerkez could drop into the back four. Now, the reason this is important is long-term squad building. Ruben Amorim comes into the club, we talk about the back three. It would be very easy to sign players that are specifically designed for a back three. Proper wing backs. The problem is, if things don't work under Ruben Amorim, or we ever have to shift away from the formation, we don't want to be stuck with a load of players that can't shift to a back four. And that's why Kerkez is good. I think he can play as a wing back. I think he can play in that role. But should we need to eventually adapt to a back four, he can do that as well. It doesn't trap us in the long term. That's why I think in terms of squad building, in terms of his age, his profile, everything about him, I think it's a brilliant squad signing. Now don't worry, the last player of this video isn't actually a left wing back. Time for something a little bit different, but this signing is very much under the bracket of opportunity. It's Dani Olmo at Barcelona. And the reason this is such an opportunity is because he cost them a lot of money. This is a good player. He's worth a lot. He's got a lot of value to him. But he's potentially going to be available for nothing. For free. Because of the absolute mess that is Barcelona Football Club right now and the way that they're being run. You can actually bring, or you might be able to bring very soon, Dani Olmo into the club on a free transfer. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that United should sign him and look to use him for the next 4 or 5 years. But if you get him on some sort of short-term contract, perhaps 6 months, 18 months, something like that, and then move him on, you're guaranteed profit. But in terms of, in the short term, almost solves a real problem. And that is, he's a genius. He's a genius, which is quite nice to say about a potential United player because we don't have enough of those. But in terms of his tactical understanding, his tactical versatility, he's brilliant at it. He's played in so many different roles throughout his career. He's played on the left-hand side, the right-hand side. He's been a false nine. He's been an attacking midfielder. He's played so many different roles, and that is perfect for what Manchester United need to do. I keep talking about the fact that for Ruben Amorim's system to evolve, I think we need to see more fluidity as we move into the attacking third, right? Now, of course, to do that, we're going to need good wing-backs. But I think also you need players that can rotate and can move into different positions. So sometimes you're going to pop up in the half space, in the pocket. We love that. But also sometimes moving a little bit wider into these positions. I think Dani Olmo would be perfect for that sort of role in this team. In terms of actually on the ball, technically he's really secure. He's got a great first touch. He knows how to use his body. He's a very, again, intelligent, mature player. He knows what he's doing. This isn't a raw young player where you're buying potential. He's the real deal. He is already made. He is already a very good player. One of the most informed players in the Champions League this season. But I think what he really brings to United is sort of just a natural fit, an all-round quality to the Manchester United attack. Perhaps not a specialist, but certainly a player that can do this job, do this role. I think what that looks like at Manchester United in this particular system is bursts forward, carries forward, receiving the ball in tight spaces, you know, in these positions here from the deeper midfield, receiving here, being marked. Can you wiggle away from that guy? Can you move into space? Can you turn him? Can you show some agility, some skill perhaps? I think Dani Olmo absolutely can. Now, in an ideal world, he would be a player that scores a few more goals, assists a bit more regularly than what he does currently. But perhaps this could be the system to unlock him, really. Dani Olmo isn't a player that I am currently an expert on, but he is one that I really want to watch. Because it's not very often you get a player of this quality available in this sort of deal. So again, I think he's a player that Manchester United have to be watching, and I'm certainly going to be watching. If you want me to do a more in-depth video on him, where I go away, assess a load of footage, and then come back, let me know in the comments down below, because I think he is interesting to talk about. And to be honest, I think all three of these players are. I think they are all opportunities for United in January for different reasons, and they bring different qualities, different strengths. But I think they all improve United at hopefully a slightly better price than what they normally would. But those are just my thoughts, my opinions. I want to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you make of these three? And give me 3 different players that you would like to see United perhaps not signing, but at least targeting in January in the comments. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.